Running a website without tracking what your visitors are up to is like driving in the dark without headlights. You're not going to get very far. To really grow your business, you need to know what people are doing on your site, what they're clicking, which pages they're visiting the most, and most importantly, whether they're becoming paying customers. The best way to find out all this is by using a tracking tool. One of the most popular and powerful tools out there is Google Analytics 4, also known as GA4. The good news is that GA4 is completely free. The not so good news, if you've never used it before, it can be a bit tricky to figure out at first. That's exactly why I've put together this step-by-step tutorial. Even if you've never touched Google Analytics 4 before and have zero technical skills, I've got you covered. By the end of this guide, you'll know how to install GA4 on your website, navigate the interface, check out all the different reports, and set up the key ones that show how well your site is turning visitors into customers. Although this guide can help anyone with a website, I'll focus on small businesses as usual. So if you're looking to track your Google business activity or specific location pages on your site, you're in for a treat. I know this video is a bit long, so I've broken it into chapters to make it easier for you to jump around. You can come back anytime and pick up where you left off by using the timeline to skip between chapters. Ready to get started? Let's do this. In this lesson, I'm going to walk you through setting up a Google Analytics account for a client of mine called XL Electricians Limited. Head over to google.com/analytics and click on Get Started Today. Sign in using your Google account. If you don't have a Google account, create one only takes a few minutes. Simply click on Create Account to get started. Once you've created an account and you've logged in, you'll be redirected to the Google Analytics welcome page. Click on Start Measuring to begin the setup process. You'll now be prompted to name your Google Analytics account. To keep things clear and professional, I suggest you use your business name. In this case, XL Electricians Limited. Scroll down to the Account Data Sharing Settings section. You can either leave the settings as they are or adjust them if you prefer not to share certain data. If you're unsure, it's safe to leave these settings as is. Once you've configured your account name and data sharing preferences, click Next to proceed. You will now be asked to create a property. If you're unsure what that means, a property is like a folder that contains all the information about a specific website or app. When you create a property in Google Analytics, you get a special code to place on your website or app. This code helps Google Analytics track data, such as how many people visit your website, which pages they go to, and how long they stay on them. In this case, I want to track my client's website, so I'll use his business name and add website next to it to clearly indicate what's being tracked. Next, select your time zone. Since I'm working with a local business based in London, I'll choose the United Kingdom for the time zone. I'll also change the default currency from dollars to pounds. Once you're done, click Next. Now, you'll be prompted to describe your business, starting with choosing a category. There isn't a huge variety of options here, so select something close to what you do. Specify the number of employees and then click Next. You'll then be asked to choose your business objectives. Whatever you select here will determine which reports you can view in the interface later. Your choice will depend on what you aim to achieve with your website or app. Since this tutorial is for beginners, I recommend keeping things simple at this stage. I'll choose the Other option. Don't worry, you can change that later if you want, then click Create. Next, you'll need to accept Google's terms and conditions. First, ensure you select the country your business is located in, then click I accept. Once you've accepted the terms and conditions, Google will ask what data you want to collect so it can generate the appropriate code. In this scenario, I want to track the activity of my client's website, so I'll click on the Web option. In the sliding window, enter your website's URL exactly as it appears in a browser. If it includes www, add it. If not, leave it out. In this case, it doesn't. For the stream name, simply add your business name and the date you created this data stream so you can easily remember when it was set up. Leave everything else as it is and then click Create and Continue. Stay on the screen for a moment and a pop-up window will appear with a code you need to install on your website, which will enable Google to track its activity. There are 3 ways to install this code on your website. You can do it manually by copying and pasting it into every page of your site, which is great if you know what you're doing. Alternatively, you can use something called Google Tag Manager if you have it set up, although this is unlikely if you're new to Google Analytics. Or, by clicking on More Options, you can install the tag directly via a content management system like WordPress, Wix, Shopify, Squarespace, and so on. Since most websites today are built on these platforms, I recommend using this option as it's much easier to install. Simply tick the appropriate radio button, then click Next. By default, you should see the Monster Insights plugin selected. Click on it to reveal all available options. Let's go through an example. If your website is built on WordPress, choose the SiteKit plugin option. You'll be shown detailed instructions on how to install the tag via WordPress. Let me show you how it's done. Log into your WordPress website. Click on Plugins, then Add New Plugins. In the search box, type SiteKit and install it. Once installed, activate it and press Start Setup. Tick the radio button that says Connect Google Analytics as part of your setup and sign in with your Google account. Select the Google account you used to create your Google Analytics account. Tick Select All and click Continue. Follow the instructions on the screen and your website will be connected with Google Analytics. You should see the name of your Google Analytics account, the property name, and the data stream name, which should all match what we've added. Click Complete Setup, and that's it. Congratulations! You've successfully connected your website to Google Analytics. If you're using Wix, Squarespace, or another website builder, select the correct option from the list in Google Analytics to access the instructions and follow a similar process. It's super simple. Once you've finished setting up your Google Analytics account and linking it to your website, wait 24 to 48 hours to allow Google to collect enough data so you can start seeing what's happening on your website. In the meantime, let's get you familiar with Google Analytics Interface. Now that you've set up your Google Analytics account, connected it with your website and waited around 48 hours for data to start coming in, you should be able to access all the reports to see how your website is performing. Google Analytics is an incredibly powerful tool with a wide range of configurations, and exploring all of its features could easily take days, if not weeks. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'll walk you through the top-level reports, which should cover most of your needs, especially if you're just starting your analytics journey. Keep in mind that Google often updates the interface, so what you see in this video might look a little different from what's on your screen. With that said, let's dive into the interface. Go to analytics.google.com and sign in with your Google account. Once you're logged in, you'll be taken directly to the Google Analytics interface where your website's data stream is connected. You should see your account name and the website property listed here. To navigate through the interface, use the menu on the left-hand side. There are 5 main sections. Let's explore them one by one, starting with the Home section, which is the default view when you first log in. In the Home section, you'll find a top-level summary of activity happening on your website. The main card displays the number of active users. These are visitors who have interacted with your site during a specific date range. You'll also see key events. A key event tracks actions that are particularly important to your business's success. Total event counts represent the number of interactions users have with elements on your site, like clicking buttons, playing videos, submitting forms, or downloading files. Another metric you'll find here is new users, which shows the number of first-time visitors during the selected date range. You can adjust these metrics by clicking the drop-down arrow next to them. The default date range is the last 7 days, but you can easily modify this using the drop-down and the data will update automatically. The next card shows the number of visitors who have been on your site in the last 30 minutes. Clicking on it will reveal where those visitors are located and give you the number of visitors from the last 5 minutes. Now let's return to the home screen and scroll down. You'll see your recent reports and settings. Below that, Google suggests report you might find useful. Keep scrolling and you'll notice a list of insights that Google has generated based on your website's activity. In this case, there aren't any just yet because the account was newly created. Let's now have a look at the second main section of the interface, reports. This area is divided into two subsections, lifecycle and users. Each of these subsections contains individual reports which we'll dive into shortly. This configuration is based on the business objectives we set up when creating our Google Analytics account, which in this case is the standard reports. The main screen in the reports section looks quite similar to the home report we just went over. Once again, you'll see familiar metrics like the number of active users, new users, and this time, the average engagement time per active user. As before, there's a card displaying the number of users who have visited your site in the past 30 minutes. And yes, you'll also find more automated insights here. One additional card that's super useful shows how new visitors found your site, whether through organic search, direct access, or social media. Other cards provide information on where your visitors are located geographically, as well as user activity over time. If you keep scrolling, you'll come across insights on user retention, which I admit can be a bit tricky to interpret, and a breakdown of the most popular pages on your website visitors are viewing based on page titles, a feature I find incredibly valuable. As you scroll further, you'll notice even more reports, although they may be unpopulated since you've only recently installed Google Analytics. I won't cover these right now to avoid overwhelming you with unnecessary information at this stage. Let's now explore the first detailed report of the lifecycle subsection called acquisition. The acquisition reports in Google Analytics give you insights into where your website visitors are coming from. These reports help you identify which marketing channels are driving the most valuable traffic, whether it's from search engines, social media, other websites, or more. There are 4 types of ready-made acquisition reports in this section. The first one is the overview report, which, you've guessed it, is an overview of where your visitors come from and includes a series of cards summarizing some key information. Right below the overview report, you can access 3 detailed reports starting with user acquisition. The user acquisition report shows how new visitors find your website for the first time. For example, this graph shows me that the vast majority of new visitors come from organic search, which means this business is doing a great job with search engine optimization. You can see the breakdown of visitors for each channel in the table right below. You can customize this report view by choosing days, weeks, or month, change the date range, and remove some of the metrics you don't want to display. Let's say, for example, I want to look at visitors coming exclusively from organic search. I'm just going to untick all the boxes and leave the organic search on. Then click on plot rows and it's going to show me only traffic coming from organic search. What's great about this report is that you can also make quick comparisons. For example, most local businesses nowadays are found by searchers on mobile phones, so I'd like to compare how users find my website from those devices respectively. Just click on Comparison, select Mobile Traffic and Web Traffic, which is traffic coming from desktops. Then click on Apply, and that's it. This shows that most users are finding this website from a mobile phone. You can make this graph clearer by removing the All Users Data points. And if you scroll down, it will show you how this traffic breaks down for each channel, which I think is pretty cool. Now, let's move on to the traffic acquisition report. This one is a bit different from the previous report as it looks at all visitors to your site, whether they're from new users or returning ones. Rather than focusing just on first-time visits, this report gives you insight into the overall traffic your site is getting. It helps answer the question, where is all my traffic, both new and returning, coming from, and shows which channels are driving those visits. The layout is exactly the same as in the previous report and can be customized in the exact same way. Note, if you've used the comparison feature in a previous report, you can use it here too without having to re-enter the parameters. The last detailed report of this section is the user acquisition cohorts. These reports look at groups of users who have something in common, like the same date they first visited your website. The cohort analysis report lets you focus on these groups and study how they behave over time. This concept is a little more advanced, so I'm not going to dwell on this. Now that you know where the traffic and visitors to your site are coming from, it's time to understand how they behave once they're on it. This is what we'll explore in the second detailed report section of the life cycle called engagement. Just like the acquisition report, the engagement report is split into several detailed reports, starting with the overview. The overview report provides a high-level summary of your website's engagement performance. It highlights key metrics like average engagement time per active user, number of page views, number of views by page, user stickiness, offering a quick snapshot of overall engagement trends. Although it doesn't dive deep into details, the overview is a great starting point for keeping an eye on engagement performance and spotting areas that might need a closer look. The events report gives you a snapshot of all the actions taking place on your website. You can find a breakdown of these actions in the table right below the graph. Just like any other detailed report, you can slice the data further using the comparison feature, adding filters, changing date ranges, and so on. The Pages and Screens report helps you see how users interact with the pages on your website. You can find out what the most popular pages are based on the number of views, how long visitors stay on them, the revenue they've generated if you set this up, and so on. This report is super useful if you want to identify which pages need improvement, for example. The landing pages report shows the first pages visitors see when they come to your website. The report is organized by number of sessions, which is a bit different from number of views used in the Pages and Screens reports. The key difference is that page views count how many times a page is opened, while sessions track everything a user does from the moment they arrive until they leave. I like to use this report to see how well these pages perform in search engine results. Since these are the first pages visitors land on, filtering the data to show traffic from search engines helps me understand how well they're doing in organic search results. But to do this, I need to filter the data first. Let me show you how this is done. Click Add Filter. In the window that appears, select Dimension and scroll down to Traffic Source. Then choose Session Default Channel Group. Set the match type to Exactly Matches and check the box for Organic Search. Apply the filter. This will show you the top pages visitors find through search engines, helping you spot any weak pages that might need further optimization for better performance. Let's move on to the next set of detailed reports called monetization. This section focuses on tracking revenue generated by your website and monitoring transactions. It's great for understanding which products are selling best or worst, how much money you're making, whether promotions and coupons are attracting new users, and so on. However, this section requires setup and is more useful for online-only businesses. Since this tutorial is aimed at beginners and local businesses, we can skip these reports for now. The final report in the lifecycle section is retention. The retention overview report gives you a summary of how well your website keeps users coming back. It shows details like how long users stay engaged after their first visit and what percentage of them return each day within the first 42 days. This wraps up the lifecycle reporting section. Now let's move on to the user reporting section. I'll just give a quick overview of this section as it's fairly straightforward. The user attributes provide details about your audience, things like their geographical location down to the city level, the language they speak, and more. Just like the previous section, there's an overview report along with more detailed reports. Feel free to explore these at your own pace. The last report in this section, called Tech, shows you what type of browsers your visitors are using, what devices they're on, their screen resolution, and so on. Again, feel free to browse through this section at your leisure. So just to recap, acquisition reports are all about how visitors find you. Engagement reports focus on how visitors interact with your site. The monetization reports look at your site's revenue performance. Retention reports are all about whether visitors return to your site. User attributes help you understand who your visitors are, while the technology reports show you the kind of tech your visitors use. There's one more report I covered very quickly at the beginning of this chapter I'd like to go through, which is the real-time report. As the name suggests, this shows you what's happening on your site right now with data from the last 30 and 5 minutes. This report lets you see how many people are currently on your site, where they're located, how they found you, what pages they're looking at, and what actions they're taking. It's especially handy if you're running a special promotion or event. So you can watch your website traffic in real time and see how things are doing as they happen. That brings us to the end of the standard report available out of the box in Google Analytics. As I mentioned earlier, Google Analytics is a powerful tool, and you can go beyond the standard reports we've covered by creating custom ones using the Explore option in the main menu. However, I'm going to skip this section for now as it's geared towards advanced users and could be overwhelming at this stage. The next main section is for those of you who use Google Ads, which is also beyond the scope of this tutorial. If you do run ads on Google, this is where you'll integrate your Google Ads data. Finally, at the very bottom of the menu, you'll find the admin section. This is where you can configure your account, manage how data is displayed in reports, control how it's collected, and set permissions for who can access the account and in what role. You won't need to visit this section very often. By now, you should have a clearer idea of how Google's interface works and the reports you can check to see if your website is helping your business. The basic reports are a good starting point, but to really understand how well your website is performing, you'll need to customize your Google Analytics a little further. In the next part of this video, I'll show you how you can easily customize some of these reports to get more useful insights, especially if you're running a small business. Let's start by talking about tracking conversions. A conversion on a website is when a visitor takes an action you want, like asking for a quote, filling out a booking form, or calling your business. For local businesses, these actions are vital because they represent potential customer leads. Understanding how effectively your website converts visitors into leads is essential. You may have plenty of traffic, but if visitors aren't taking actions, your website isn't benefiting your business as much as it could. In short, tracking how many visitors complete key actions helps you determine whether your website is truly serving its purpose. Let's go over two of the most important types of conversions you can track in your report as a small business, starting with phone conversions. Setting up phone conversion tracking in GA4 will help you see how many phone leads you're getting directly from your website. Since many visitors will find your website on a mobile device, they will often tap on the phone number to trigger a call. You want to track when this action occurs. First, to track phone calls made from your website, your phone number needs to be in the form of a link. If you're unsure whether it is, here is how you can check. Hover over the number and clicking it opens a pop-up suggesting you use an app. This means the phone number is clickable and can be tracked. To double check that this is truly the case, highlight the phone number, right-click, and select Inspect. If the number starts with tel:, it means it's a link and can be tracked in Google Analytics. Now let's look at another example. In this case, the phone number isn't clickable. When I inspect the code, I can see the tel colon prefix is missing. If this is the case for your site, make sure to add the tel colon prefix to all phone numbers on every page so they can be tracked properly. Next, go to the admin section of your Google Analytics account. From the submenu, click on Data Display, then on the Events option. Everything in Google Analytics is tracked as an event. Clicking on a button, downloading a PDF, or watching a video are all considered events. Many of these events already exist within the default Google Analytics setup, but tracking phone calls is not one of them, so we need to add it. Click on the Create Event button, then on the next page, click on Create. You need to give your event a meaningful name so you can easily identify it in the reports later. Since we are tracking phone call clicks, let's call this phone_call_clicks. Make sure you don't use any uppercase letters or spaces between words. Instead, use underscores. In the next field, ensure the parameter is set to event_name and that the operator is equals, which should be the default. In the value field, type click. Next, click on Add Condition. In the parameter field, type the following in all lowercase: link_URL. Under operator, select contains, and in the value, enter tel colon. Leave the parameter configuration ticked, then click Create, and close the next window. You're all done. To verify you've set this correctly, open a new browser window in incognito mode, then log into your Google Analytics account. Open your website and purposely click on the phone number a few times. Next, go to the real-time report. Wait for a few seconds. Under the event count card, you should see the phone call click event you've created. If you see it, congratulations! You are now able to track phone calls on your website. If you can't see the phone click event, double check you've set this up properly. If everything is set up as it should, simply clear your browser cache and double check again. That should do it. Let's take this one step further to really maximize its utility. Go back to the admin section of Google Analytics. From the left-hand side menu, select Key Events. Click on the New Key Event button. In the New Event Name field, enter the exact name of the event you've just created, which in my case is phone_call_clicks. It should be activated by default. Now head over to one of the detailed reports such as Pages and Screens. Scroll down to the main table and under the Key Events column, click the drop-down arrow. Your phone call click event should be listed there. Click on it. This will show you the number of phone calls triggered from each individual page, which is extremely useful if you want to identify pages that convert most visitors into customer leads. Slice the data further by using the comparison feature, splitting mobile visitors from desktop visitors. Now you can see the number of calls triggered not only from individual pages, but also based on desktop versus mobile traffic. Add a filter to the data to view results purely based on organic traffic from search engines. Scroll down to Traffic Source and select Session Default Channel Group. Under Match Type, choose Exactly Matches, and under Value, select Organic, then click Apply. This report will now show how well your pages are converting into leads based on phone calls from visitors coming from organic search results, whether they were using a desktop or mobile device. You can use this data slicing methodology on all detailed reports in GA4 to gain better insight, leading to more informed marketing decisions. Pretty neat, right? Please note that it should take 24 to 48 hours before you can see conversions coming through into your reports. In addition to phone calls, another key conversion to set up in GA4 for small businesses is tracking form submissions on your website, such as contact forms, request a quote forms, or booking forms. To set this up, open your Google Analytics account and navigate to the left-hand side menu. Click on Admin, then from the submenu, select Data Display and choose the Events option. Next, click the Create Event button and in the following window, click Create. Give your event a meaningful name for easy identification in your reports. For example, if you want to track how many people fill out your contact us form, name the event something like contact_form_submission. Use all lowercase letters and underscores with no spaces. In the next field, set the parameter to event_name and ensure the operator is set to equals, which is the default. In the value field, type page_view. Now, click Add Condition. In the parameter field, type page_location, all in lowercase. It should auto-suggest. Under Operator, select Contains, and in the value field, enter the portion of the URL that corresponds to your thank you page, which is the page users see after submitting the form. For example, if the thank you page URL is www.mywebsite.com/thank-you, you only need to input thank-you. Ensure the parameter configuration is checked, then click Create and close the window. You're done. To verify your setup, open a new incognito window and log in to your Google Analytics account. Visit your website and fill out the contact form. Next, go to the real-time report in Google Analytics. After a few seconds, you should see your newly created contact form event under the event count card. You can also set this as a key event, just like phone call tracking, and slice the data in similar ways. Keep in mind that it will take anything between 24 to 48 hours before the conversions appear in your detailed reports. Let's now move on to tracking how your Google Business Profile is performing in GA4. Since my tutorials are mostly for small business owners like yourself, I'm going to assume you already have a Google Business Profile if you're watching this. If that's the case, it's likely bringing a good number of visitors to your website, typically through a link to your homepage. However, it can also be through other links you've added, such as link on a Google post, appointment link, product links, or a menu link, and so on. If you're business conscious, you'll want to understand how many visitors click through to your website from those links. The problem is that Google Analytics can't tell that these visitors came from your Google Business Profile, making it hard to know how well your listing is performing. The good news is you can customize these links so they can easily be tracked in GA4, helping you understand how well your Google Business Profile is performing. Before I show you how to do this, it's important to understand a concept used throughout Google Analytics, which is called channel grouping. In Google Analytics 4, channel groups are a way of organizing and categorizing the different sources of traffic that come to your website. In layman's terms, channel groups are an easy way of sorting and labeling where your website visitors come from. For example, when we looked at the traffic acquisition report, which is all about how visitors find you, you could see traffic coming from different channels such as organic, but also from direct visits, social media, and so on. Unfortunately, whenever a visitor clicks on any link from your Google Business Profile, these visits are automatically added to the Google Organic Channel group. This can be misleading, especially if your Google Business Profile drives a fair amount of visitors to your site. If you want to track the activity generated from your Google Business Profile effectively, you need to help Google Analytics understand where this additional traffic is coming from. This way, it's not automatically added to the organic search channel group. To do that, you'll need to add additional parameters to the links placed on your Google Business Profile using something called UTM parameters. Don't panic, it's easy to do. Let me show you how this is done using an example of a website link on an existing Google Business Profile. Let's say I want to find out how many people have visited my client's website by clicking the link on a Google Business Profile, which currently leads to the homepage. Head over to a free Google tool called Campaign URL Builder. I've put the link to it in the description below. This tool is specifically designed so you can add extra parameters to any link making them super easy to track in Google Analytics. So let's say the website link you use on your Google Business Profile is your homepage. Enter that link into the website URL field. Ignore the campaign ID field and jump straight to the source. There, add Google as the traffic source. For the campaign medium, use organic, and for the campaign name, use gbp-website-link. The GBP parameter is important here as it refers to Google Business Profile. Make sure it's all in lowercase. You don't have to use the exact same parameter, but I find this works well. This will automatically create a link with the added parameters. Copy the link, log into your Google Business Profile, click on Edit Profile, and under the Contact tab, remove the existing link and paste the new one you've just created with the extra parameters. Then save. Head back to Google Analytics. For your Google Business Profile link to be tracked, you'll need to create a dedicated channel group for it. To do this, click on the Admin section from the left-hand side main menu. In the Data Display card, click on Channel Group, then click on Create New Channel Group. Give your channel group a name. Your business name works well, so it's easily identifiable. In the description, you can add something like GBP Links. Then click on Add New Channel. Name your new channel Google Business Profile. Next, click on Add Condition Group and select the campaign name option. Click on Add Condition, then select Begins With, and in the field below, add the following parameter, GBP, all in lowercase. This is the first parameter added to the URL you built earlier. Then click on Apply and save the channel. You should now see a list of the available channels GA4 uses to determine where traffic comes from. Your newly created channel should appear at the bottom. Since GA4 categorizes traffic based on the order of this list, and we've indicated that our Google links are organic, for our newly created channel to be considered, it needs to be positioned just before the organic search channel. Otherwise, it won't be taken into consideration in the report. Click on Reorder, then drag the Google Business Profile channel you've just created just above the organic search channel. Click on Apply and save the group. You're all done. To check how this works, go to the Report section, select the Acquisition Report, then the Traffic Acquisition Detailed Report. To see your new channel, click on the arrow next to the Channel Grouping drop-down menu. You should see an option called Session followed by your business name. Just select it. You should now see clearly the organic traffic that goes to your website from your Google Business Profile. Once again, you'll need to wait 24 to 48 hours before the data starts showing in the report. You can track every single link on your Google Business Profile using the same process. Let me show you how to do this with a Google Post link, for example. Let's say I want to track how many people click on this link from this Google post that points to this page. To do this, go back to the campaign URL builder. In the website URL field, enter the address of the page the Google post links to. The campaign source and campaign medium should remain the same. Change the campaign name to something related to the Google posts so you can recognize it in the report, making sure it starts with the GBP parameter in lowercase. Let's call this one GBP-post-Swanley, as it is the name of the post. Once you're done, copy your link. Log into your Google Business Profile, then click on your post. Click on Edit. Replace the link with the one you've just created and click on Post. After tagging all your Google Business Profile links using this method, you'll be able to track the number of visits each link drives to your website, helping you identify the most effective ones. To view detailed traffic for each link, click the plus button, select the traffic source option, and then choose Session Campaign. This will show a breakdown of which links have directed traffic to your site from your Google Business Profile. The final thing I want to show you is how to check the performance of a specific page. especially if it's one you've created to target a certain area or location to attract more customers. Many business owners want to appear in Google searches for different neighborhoods or cities, so they create dedicated location pages like these ones to bring in more leads. I often meet business owners who've made several of these pages but don't know if they're getting visitors or turning those visitors into customers. Here is how to check that in Google Analytics 4. In the main menu, go to Reports and then click on Engagement. Select Pages and Screens. It will show you the top 10 most visited pages on your site ranked by the number of views. If you want to see more, you can increase the list to 250 pages by changing the rows per page option. This should be enough to list all pages of a website if you're a small business. If you have a lot of pages and want to quickly find the report for a single page, go to that page on your website, copy the part of the web address after your domain name, paste it into the search bar and hit enter. This will show you data for that specific page. To find out where visitors are coming from, click the plus button and type source, session, medium in the search bar. This will add a column showing how people found your page. If you don't see much organic traffic, which are visitors coming from search engines like Google, it could mean your page isn't ranking well or not many people are searching for keywords related to that location. But if you have good traffic and no conversions such as phone calls or quote requests, it could mean your page ranks well but isn't convincing people to get in touch. To check this, look at the average engagement time per active user. If visitors are only staying for a few seconds, you might need to improve the content of your page as it isn't sticky enough. Repeat this process for all your location pages to see if they're helping or wasting your time. This is important if you want to attract customers from outside your immediate area, especially since your Google Business Profile is unlikely to rank in cities or neighborhoods where your business isn't located. You can do this for any page on your website, not just location pages. I also suggest checking your blog pages in the same way. I see many small business owners spend time and money on blog articles that don't rank or attract visitors. Spending a few minutes to review these pages can help you make smarter marketing decisions. That's a wrap, everyone. You've got everything you need to dive in and start making some real progress. Set up your conversions, dig into those reports, and see how your website is performing. It's your ticket to leveling up your business. And guess what? If you're ready to supercharge your organic traffic and turn visitors into paying customers, the next video is a must-watch. Plus now, you've got the GA4 skills to track your success like a pro. Big results are just around the corner.